Look, I had to do 20 because the achievement of whittling down an industry full of some of the most charismatic sumbitches in entertainment history to a lean 10 is just not worth all the comments of how did X not make the list? 6 question marks. Unsubscribe. See, wrestling matches are all well and good, but for a match to have true substance, you need to have compelling characters, an invested audience, and something, be it professional or personal, on the line. At the center of that triforce is a microphone, and these are the best to ever wield one in a wrestling ring. The best English speakers. I mean, sorry, don't feel qualified to judge the quality of non-English promos. Sorry, Mexico. Sorry, Japan. Sorry. I'm Adam, hailing from PartsFUNknown, and here are the 20 best talkers in wrestling history. Before we start the list, we'd super appreciate it if you took the time to hit that subscribe button. Now, a lot of people who watch our videos actually aren't subscribers, and while it's easy to forget to do so, it makes a pretty big difference to the ad revenue we can pull in to keep making these, so hey, help us out. Thanks, you're the best, unless you didn't just subscribe then, in which case, I hate you. Number 20, Kevin Owens. It's insane that KO is as good on the stick as he is, considering English is his second language. C'est incroyable. Owens has mastered a style of promo which appears to be so easy, yet eludes 95% of wrestlers, which is the ability to make it look like he's just talking. That sounds super dumb, but it's true. He talks like a person, which in a generation of tightly scripted promos is super rare. Also, he's one of the funniest men alive. That helps. Watch his interviews with Michael Cole. They're amazing. Number 19, Arn Anderson. Good old Double A has always looked like a 40-year-old dad who's having a difficult time getting the lawnmower to start, but like most dads, if you get him talking about something he really loves, he can tell a story that spellbinds you. Case in point, anytime you ask Arn Anderson to talk about the Horseman, he's unbelievably compelling. A proper Southern poet, infinitely more articulate than he looks. Watch his promo introducing a previously fired Ric Flair when he returned to Nitro in September 98. It is phenomenal. Number 18, Becky Lynch. It took a while for the man to come around, but the detour was worth it, because by the time Becky Lynch arrived at the persona that would catapult her to the top of women's wrestling, she'd arrived with battle scars, a swagger in her step, and an authentic bass in her voice. Finally getting to hear Becky Lynch be as cool as she could be, to speak with the unabashed bravado that we knew she was capable of, it harkened us back to the dripping anti-heroic charm of Steve Austin. God, I miss Becky Lynch. Children take everything good from us. Number 17, John Cena. Oh man, John Cena's delivered some of the worst promos in wrestling history. Not because he's a bad talker, he's the furthest thing from it, but because he was the poster child for the flip goofball corporate babyface that dominated WWE for a decade. Some fans will never forgive him for the days of mocking wrestlers' nips. I mean, who'd do that? But you can't deny that when Cena gets rolling on something serious, he is one of the most magnetic men on television. His work shoot promos on Styles, Bryan, Rock, Reigns, Miz, they are masterclasses to a man. Number 16, Mick Foley. Mrs. Foley's baby boy is a man of split personalities, and amazingly, all of them were super good at promos. Cactus Jack's unhinged Kane Dewey promo is different to Dude Love's cheesy swagger, is different to Mankind's dangerous man-child, is different to the Commissioner's easy charm, is different to anyone in wrestling. Foley's always been more than a punching bag. His falls may have made him famous, but his personality on the stick made him beloved. Number 15, Bray Wyatt. And talk about a lunatic of many faces. It seems like for the longest time fans have been upset with the way WWE treats Bray Wyatt, and that's not because he's the best in-ring wrestler and we want to see him wrestle loads. It's because he's one of the most inventive and original voices of his generation, and WWE keep getting in the way of his stories. From the children's TV presenter to the Southern Gothic poetry to the Funhouse, which is the best movie WWE has ever made, he has a hypnotic, smoky cadence and new thoughts to express, and those things are diamonds in WWE's rough. Number 14, Bobby Heenan. Wrestling managers have provided us with some of the best talkers of all time, which makes sense because that's what they're there to do. Talk for the guys who can't or shouldn't. Jim Cornette was amazing. Sensational Sherry was sensational, but few could hold a candle to the Weasel, one of the sharpest, quickest minds in pro wrestling history. Hilarious when he needed to be, diabolical when he needed to be. Heenan was the master of promo mechanics. He put over the match, the date, the heel, the face, the story, without ever feeling like a salesman. Number 13, Hulk Hogan. Like Cena, Hogan's star has been dimmed by the sheer wealth of crap he's been a part of during his career. His current persona as the huckster, the bloated, ego-driven nonsense of late-stage NWO, the Dungeon of Doom, cheeseball Tosh. He's dropped a whole bunch of mic amplified turds on us over the years, but even then, it's hard to deny that when Hogan got a promo head of steam going, when that Terry boulder started to roll down the hill, nothing could stop it. And during the golden era, you simply couldn't resist being caught up in his eye-popping, sweat-drenched fury. Number 12, Randy Savage. This is Ricky Steamboat's cup of coffee in the big time. Yeah, Randy Savage. No one talked like him. No one has ever since talked like him, except maybe Jay Lethal. He was fluent in gravel jazz. He was a demented beat poet, and the beat goes on. Did everything that Randy Savage say make sense? No. Was it impossible to forget his signature barks and growls, those crazy eyes and unsettling rolling tempo? Oh hell yes. Number 11, Chris Jericho. Y2J can do everything on the mic, from dorky comedy to braggadocious rock and roller to quiet intensity to the festival of friendship to whatever he was with the hat and the spikes. I want to say if the tyrant from Resident Evil 2 did cabaret, he made them all work, and that's because he's got one of the most lucrative brains in the sport. He is a catchphrase machine, he's brilliant at working the room, and his endless career speaks for itself. Number 10, Vince McMahon, the madman who says mad things. I think the saddest thing about seeing Vince today is not just those eyebrows, those mad thin eyebrows, what's going on there? It's that Vince can't go on the mic like he used to, because honestly, in his prime, he was the best promo on his own roster. The sheer tonnage of madness that Vince has said, and said with such demented relish that you can't help but enjoy it. Whether he was cussing out Austin, the fans, or God himself, I miss that insanity. I really do. Number 9, Jake Roberts. Everyone shouted in the 80s, but in a land of sound and fury signifying nothing, Jake Roberts whispered louder than anyone. He spoke with such careful deliberation, such poise, and such precise menace. And the fact that in an era of flag-waving, insane ramblings, and screamed catchphrases, the fact there were also wrestlers like him dropping bombs like "you will be a victim of your own greed," wallowing in the muck of avarice. It's just... that is perfection. Number 8, Eddie Kingston. Eddie Kingston might just be the best promo currently wrestling. We've talked about Kevin Owens and his natural delivery. Eddie Kingston has supernatural delivery. I believe Eddie Kingston. I believe every single thing he says, one mouthful of glass at a time. He's made Jon Moxley better than he ever was before. He dismantles wrestling promo etiquette, and lots of people can make a crowd yell. It takes a special talent to make them silent. He's wrestling's Al Pacino, and he scares me. Number 7, Dusty Rhodes. The dad of the grandson of a plumber, Dusty Rhodes has ascended to promo godhood. He became the gatekeeper for WWE's next generation of storytellers, the engineer tinkering with some of the finest characters NXT has ever seen, because Dusty knew how to make that connection, that ability to reach out and take the hand of those watching and make them follow him. When you talk about a wrestling promo as poetry, Dusty was the king of knitting fragments of the working class American story into something touching, real, and it galloped at a bewitching speed. Number 6, Roddy Piper. Hot Rod was charisma in a kilt. He was able to delicately thread the line between funny and scary, ready to switch on you at any moment. That unpredictability is what made him such a fantastic promo, made Piper's Pit the best and never ever topped wrestling interview segment, and also explains why he's one of the best wrestler turned actors ever, with They Live and his role as the Maniac in Always Sunny being works of genius. So many great Piper sound bites. He was the best. Number 5, Steve Austin. Fuck the what chant though. Steve Austin is low-key one of the funniest promos of all time. The dude's comedic timing and his ability to pop a crowd is insane, but that's probably not the reason that people herald Stone Cold as one of the all-time greats. It's because he was quite simply very cool all the time. He commanded the room, the strut, the head tilt. From the moment 316 was born at King of the Ring to the bottom line and all the hell yeahs in between, Austin was a master of crowd work. Number 4, CM Punk. You can dispute a lot of the reasons that CM Punk used to proclaim himself the best in the world, but one thing you can't is that he is one of the best mic workers ever. When you can drop a promo that single-handedly sparks the most interest in wrestling that there's been in years, when one promo escapes the WWE echo chamber and starts bringing lapsed fans back, when you can hang with The Rock in a promo segment and still walk away with a split decision, that is a once-in-a-lifetime talent, no arguments. Number 3, Ric Flair. Talk about wonderful freewheeling nonsense. On paper, Ric Flair really shouldn't be a good promo. promo, he screams incoherently like a man with sunstroke chasing kids off his lawn, but he also has that incalculable charisma. It's borderline alien. He's just so there, so right there, and meaning every single thing that he says with total, if overpowering emotion, that you can't help but get excited when Ric Flair talks. And way back at the start, when we mentioned that episode of Nitro where the Nature Boy returned, watch Flair's promo from that segment. It is a world beater. Fire me, I'm already fired. Number 2, Paul Heyman. A good promo is designed to sell you something. Even indirectly, it's designed to sell you a match, a story, a concept, a place in time that you need to be. Paul Heyman is the greatest salesman in wrestling history, and the fact that he has been for over 20 years and maintained consistent quality, it's miraculous. Whether selling Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns, the Dangerous Alliance, or being part of the all-time great WWE commentary team of Heyman and JR, how can one man be so good for so long? And number 1, The Rock. Yeah, obvious, almost to the point of anticlimax, but he is, isn't he? A man so good at trash talk that he's killed Push's dead. Sorry about that, Billy Gunn. And the man who's launched 1,000 disparaging catchphrases. You know those promos that wrestlers do directly before a match when they're hopped up on adrenaline and ready to go? The Rock is the greatest person at those promos that has ever lived. He called Goldberg a whisker biscuit, bald-headed bitch. So yeah, he's number 1. End of story. And that's our list. Did we miss anyone? Of course we did. Shut up. But do also let us know your favorite talker in the comments. Click that like button, share this video around, and most importantly, subscribe to PartsFUNknown for more silly wrestling content. Jam that jam.